to another edition of the Hispanic Patriot Podcast. Before we get started tonight with the show, please take a moment and click on the like button and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's important to us, and your support will help us grow the show. And if you're so inclined, you can contribute financially to our cause on our website displayed during our broadcast. Every donation, large or small, is sincerely appreciated and will help us deliver our important message. And we thank you in advance.
Yes, thank you.
Tonight, my intrepid co-host Nicholas Razzo has joined us. He's going incognito tonight, so you don't see his name on the screen.
Going dark today.
The feds are after him, so he's got to kind of hide behind the scenes.
We're working it out. We should be fine by the end of the week, like usual.
Yeah. All right. So tonight we have a variety of topics to cover, and we're going to be commenting as we go. Hopefully we can get some video on the screen here. Our normal producer is out due to medical reasons today, so we send him prayers and well wishes and hope that everything is okay. We don't know any details, so hopefully, Peter, if you're listening, if you're watching, we hope you're doing all right. And we're flying solo tonight, and it's going to probably show.
That's all right, though. We'll dedicate the show to him. There we go.
But we'll get through this. All right. So we begin with our ongoing coverage of President Trump's kangaroo court sham trial, as I call it, which is being foisted upon hardworking Americans by the crooked combo of DA Alvin Bragg of Manhattan, New York, and extremely biased and compromised judge, I say that in quotations, Judge Juan Merchan, who happens to be a Colombian immigrant who didn't fall far from the tree of corruption from his native homeland.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So in the last few days, the circus trial of President Trump has given us Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. What a pair.
What a pair. Most trustworthy people in the world, clearly.
Michael Cohen was, unfortunately, Trump's former attorney and confidant, and they are classified as key witnesses in this trial.
Because you can always trust lawyers and porn stars. Those are the only people you can trust anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the top of the heap right there.
Heap is right.
Yeah. Heap of, we'll keep it clean.
Yeah.
Miss Daniels, during her testimony, she peppered her testimony with salacious sexual details about her alleged encounter with Donald Trump 10 years before he was elected president. Way back in 2006 is when this alleged affair happened.
Oh, wow.
According to the reports, she spared no details. And I mean, she spared no details. We won't get into any of the sexual details on this show. We have better class than that.
Yeah.
So now, to put things into context, Ms. Daniels is an accomplished porn movie scriptwriter. So according to some who were in the courtroom, her testimony sounded like lines straight out of a porn movie script. She has a great imagination, according to one writer.
Or a great memory of a misattribution. Someone like that, it's like, you've had so many people, how do you even know that you're remembering Trump? Like, it's like you just put someone else in your brain and there you go. Like, yep. Yeah, we didn't need to hear that, but we did it for you folks because we care about delivering the truth.
So,
no matter what it is.
What we need to remember in this whole thing is that she has previously been quoted as saying that the affair never happened. In fact, there are 2 letters floating around in which she states unequivocally that the affair never happened. Both letters are signed by her, although she claims that one of the letters contained what appears to be a forged signature. and she was on Jimmy Kimmel, and of course, another real doozy there. Uh, Kimmel is a pervert, and so that's a perfect pairing for late night TV. So basically, what the persecution or prosecution presented was a nothing burger with regards to any real evidence of the crime with which they have charged President Trump. Nothing but a salty, fantasy laden sexual interpretation by the former stripper and porn star. She does have quite the imagination. I'll leave it at that. Then they followed up that star witness with the habitual proven liar, Michael Cohen, who's been convicted of perjury. And everybody knows he's a liar. But, he's been making the rounds on TikTok. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's hilarious. He's been making these daily videos on TikTok bashing President Trump while wearing a t shirt which depicts the former president behind bars in a jail cell.
What an impartial view.
Yeah,
What
he's not biased at all. I mean, he's very objective.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. And he's a real piece of work. I mean, just looking at the guy, you just want to reach through the screen and just slap him. That's what comes to mind for me. But his videos are filled with profanity against Trump, and they're all over the internet. Now, has this judge imposed a gag order on him? No. The only one who has been slapped with a gag order is President Trump, which, by the way, is a clear violation of his First Amendment right to free speech. And that's yet to be determined upon in the courts. But he has clearly violated constitutional rights of President Trump. But he doesn't care. The prosecution, the witnesses, they can all slander and besmirch President Trump, but he can't respond in kind. He can't defend himself because this judge has slapped a gag order on him. This is ridiculous.
What a thing. The
This
former
is
president.
a circus. And of course, we all know the real reason behind all this is to take him off the campaign trail. Unfortunately for them, everything's backfiring on him because the more they attack him, the more the people are coming out. He is drawing huge crowds in New York City, no less.
Yep.
Whenever he goes to different places, he's been to a couple of bodegas and a couple of different. He went to a fire station. They welcomed him, cheering him. He took pizzas to the firefighters at one of the stations. They love him.
Yep. He met some
Um,
union guys too, and they loved
yep,
him too.
yep. The union guys were out in force as well. The construction guys, the electricians, all the trades. So the trial appears to be on its way to being concluded as we speak. The defense uh, will cross-examine Michael Cohen probably tomorrow and possibly into Friday. Then the prosecution will have a chance to redirect. Now, in legal terms, that means the prosecution has the last word with regard to their witnesses. So, if if the defense makes their witnesses look like fools, which they are, then uh, then the prosecution can step in and try to clean it up a little bit
It's
for the
damage control at that point.
yeah. But from what I've been reading, some of the jurors' faces have been quite telling from some of the people that it's like they're sitting there saying, "I can't believe that I'm missing work and being away from my family for this circus." That's a kind of descriptive term that one of the writers made about what the faces of the jurors looked like during all this testimony. Keep in mind, they haven't even addressed the crime yet. All they've done is put
Sling mud.
a porn star and a liar up on the stand to bash President Trump. To me, that's not justice.
No.
So, once the defense or once the prosecution finishes the redirect, then the defense is going to have to make a decision. They can either rest their case or present their own witnesses. Okay, they do have witnesses, but based on the fact that they haven't proven anything, then they go with their own witnesses. There's a possibility that the defense could just rest and just say, uh, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the state hasn't proved anything. They haven't even presented evidence of the crime that the client is being charged with. So they could leave it at that. My guess is they're going to present some witnesses from what I'm reading, but just keep in mind that as of right now, not one shred of real evidence of the crimes with which Trump is charged has been presented. Not,
After all this time.
yeah, 17 days into the trial, they haven't presented one shred of evidence.
And there's an old debate slogan that goes, "Never start your debate with your weakest argument," and that's all they've been doing. If they had real evidence for Trump's crimes, they would have been shoving it in everyone's face for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
But instead, they want to sling mud because they know that that's the only real purpose of this trial. And to bring a person to trial just to humiliate them and cost them money, Americans have been seeing this for decades. Now it's happening to our president. We're now sick of it. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. We're going to say America needs to be clean of this practice, not just for President Trump, but for all Americans. Should never be brought before a courtroom just to be humiliated and to take money from them. If they haven't committed any crime, especially, that they need
Well,
to stop.
if they don't destroy the legal system with all this stuff, I'm
Yeah,
going to be
really.
shocked. Uh, if I was on the jury, um, regardless of what my feelings about Trump were, I would be livid
Yeah.
that I'm just sitting there having to listen to all this crap. Uh, so I'd be so mad they would probably vote not guilty just to spite that crooked DA Alvin Bragg.
Well, luckily, you
So
wouldn't even have to do that. You could just, have not guilty based on there being no evidence of any crime. I mean,
well,
that's absurd. We have to keep saying that.
you jumped ahead on me, but
Nah.
here's what's coming up next. By next week, we're going to have a better picture of what will be happening, or if justice is truly served. We have one of three things. Number one, a directed verdict of acquittal by the judge, not likely as crooked as this guy is. Number two, a not guilty verdict by the jury because they haven't proven their case against Trump. Or number three, a hung jury, in which case the likelihood of a full retrial are slim and none. So we will be praying for the president. Uh, we believe that justice will be served in the sense that the president is going to come out of this thing stronger than ever, and the Democrats who are running this show are going to look like the fools that they really are, the crooked fools that they really are. So
There
we'll
it
be
is.
praying for the president and his family, and also for a strong legal team that he has in the courtroom, that they will be able to uh, exonerate the president of this bizarre, really bizarre uh, show trial that they put on.
It needs to happen. And just one real quick thing for any person, any Democrats or anything. This is your president too. Even if you didn't vote for him, he was the elected president. This isn't just an attack on Republicans. This is an attack on all Americans through the abuse of the justice system. So don't feel like, oh, it's Trump, so that doesn't matter. Not a bit. He's your president still. He was elected. He's one of us, period. And we don't let that happen to any one of us.
Yep. So, in the speaking of bizarre, this next story is really bizarre. If anybody is familiar with the Ninth Circuit Court, we used to call it the Ninth Circus because of the some of the ridiculous left wing decisions that have come out of that circuit court. Anyway, this circuit court of appeals, again, typically a very liberal court, has found that convicted felons may also have Second Amendment rights. And what this is all, before you jump through the window there, what this is all about basically is there's a landmark ruling by the Supreme Court that, or is going to be based on a landmark ruling that's coming out by the Supreme Court that convicted felons cannot automatically be deprived of their right to bear arms, especially when it comes to nonviolent offenders who have served out their sentences. So, this ruling could have a wide reaching effect on previously convicted felons of nonviolent crimes. So, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. So, this ruling is a shift in Ninth Circuit law, like I mentioned. And it differs from the view adopted by many circuits, according to Eugene Volokh, who is a law professor at UCLA. However, the majority opinion left open the possibility that felons convicted of violent crimes could still be prohibited from owning firearms after they have served their sentences. So that review will most likely be influenced by the Supreme Court's upcoming Rahimi case, which deals with whether people subject to domestic violence restraining orders lose their Second Amendment rights automatically, and which is due a decision by June the 30th. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch because there's always been a contention that this was never the intention of the ruling body or the judicial body, that nonviolent offender or just a felon automatically loses their Second Amendment rights. And we can take that one step further, and the other one is the voting rights. So it's going to be, everybody's going to be watching this one really carefully to see if the Supreme Court rules that it's not an automatic prohibition of Second Amendment rights for nonviolent offenders. And there's going to be a whole cabal that's going to jump through the jump off a Empire State Building if they rule that a lot of felons can now legally own firearms, provided they weren't convicted of any violent crime. So white collar crimes, petty crimes, things of that nature would fall into that category. So, what are your thoughts on that, Nick?
Well, personally, I think that for Republicans, usually there's a lot of talk of, for example, during the 2020 election, I believe, there was a lot of pardoning of felons so that they could vote in Florida, and there was a feeling, oh, well, that might swing things one way or another. But I think what people have to remember most of all is that the Republican Party of today, and I would argue the Republican Party for most of history, is the party of the working class, the party of the little guy. And unfortunately, most of the time, people who commit crimes, they don't want to commit crimes. They are trying to survive. They don't know any better. This is all that they've ever done their whole lives. So to me, the Second Amendment's clear. To bear arms is a right that is indivisible, because frankly, just because you've committed a crime doesn't mean that someone else has the right to kill you. You have the right to defend yourself, and in the modern world, the gun is the sword of today. It is the common weapon, and that is what we have adapted to as human beings. So that is the weapon of self-defense that we have. So no, I don't think that just because someone commits a crime, they should, have to forfeit their best form of defense if someone's trying to take their life. Because again, we believe, especially as Christians, in forgiveness and reformation of the spirit, that people can change. And if people know that, okay, my rights are going to be violated forever if I do this, then they're going to either stay in a life of crime and just carry guns illegally anyways, or they're going to do their darndest to make sure that they never get convicted of that felony. And people will do a lot of crazy things to cover up their tracks. So if
Yeah,
we're giving people the ability to come back into society, be a member, quote unquote, of the militia, to say you can defend your country. We used to, the militaries used to be primarily full of criminals, deadbeats, people who had no other way of life. But they wanted structure, they wanted to reform themselves, and there was a lot of chances society used to give to let people come back. And we don't have the same kind of mercy nowadays. I think now we're showing mercy through what our Constitution, just adherence to the Constitution, is providing mercy to people who want to come back. Now, again, if you're a murderer, if you're a thief, if you're a rapist, that's a title that, deserves to be had. But felon, there's a lot of different kinds of felonies. So as long as it's not something that gives you a permanent, seat in hell as a, rapist or murderer or something like that, no, I don't think someone should be allowed to take away your guns. I think you should be allowed to come back into society and prove that you can be a member of society again.
Absolutely. Well, that's. I think I fall along those lines. I can see the argument for violent um,
Absolutely.
felons to not be, permitted to own guns, but the nonviolent ones, I think that was a stretch from the beginning, and
Especially after
I'm
serving the term.
I'm actually surprised that this is just now coming up, but
Yeah.
I think part of this is because of this lawsuit by this felon that's sued, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. So now we'll get a ruling, I think, finally from the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and just one other point I want to make is I know a lot of conservatives are very worried about the government labeling people criminals to take away their voting rights and gun rights. This is the liberals actually throwing a bone to that and saying, no, this potential conspiracy theory could easily become reality, that they're going to make us all criminals and take away our rights. If we can cut that off at the pass with friends who understand, whether they're left or right, what justice is, then I'm all for it. Let's take away that fear. Let's take away that power to ruin people's lives on a whim.
Uh, well, I read an article along those lines, in fact, today, uh, that said this author, this journalist, wrote that there are over 400 million guns in circulation in the United States, and he believes that the government should confiscate them all. So straight out of communist Russia, China, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
and
it.
do what with them? Melt them down into a giant statue of Karl Marx? Like,
Yeah, that's exactly what this idiot wrote. But I was going to talk about that, but I didn't get a chance to dig too deep into that. But that just hit me like a ton of bricks when I read that. I said, "What? Where do these people come from? I mean, these people are not Americans.
a
I'm
place with
sorry."
gated communities, probably. Never seen a gun in their life.
Well, to me, you can't be an American and be against the Second Amendment. That's
It's just
just
part of us.
one of the tenets of our society, of our culture,
Yeah,
and everybody in the world, you know, either envies us or hates us because we have this freedom, and and we're not going to give it up.
no.
Uh, this one, I don't know if you saw my Facebook page, but
Oh, yeah,
that
I know what you're
that
talking about there.
that meme from "We're coming for your guns," and I said, well, you better pack more than a lunch, sweetheart.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, now we go to someone that's really a criminal. Oh,
Oh,
who about
who could that
it?
be?
His initials are HB. Hmm.
Oh, man.
And he's related to the senile guy in the White House.
Oh, that doesn't narrow it down very much. There are a lot of the. Oh, the Chief CNL guy. Oh, I think something about. Hold on, it's on. Oh man, I guess I gotta crack open my head, make sure that maybe we should pipe down and think about it for a little.
Yeah, well, the word crack comes to mind too. Uh, in the
Oh
Hunter
my goodness.
Biden saga, a federal judge has rejected his bid to delay his June trial on federal gun charges.
Oh no, poor baby.
So not even Daddy could get him out of this one. And of course, the libs are livid because the judge just happens to be a Trump appointee.
Oh no! How dare he? How dare he make the right decision?
It's a she.
Oh, look
Uh,
at that! Even two things the liberals claim to support but don't.
yep. So, U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noreika rejected Hunter Biden's request to push the trial in Delaware until September, which the defense said was necessary to line up witnesses and go through evidence handed over by prosecutors. The judge said,
Okay.
the judge said, quote, everyone can get what needs to get done by the trial start date of June 3rd. So the trial will proceed.
Good.
Later Tuesday, a three-judge panel of a federal appeals court said the tax case against Hunter Biden, which is scheduled to go to trial in California on June the 20th, can also move forward. So the ninth, here we go again, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals dismissed a defense effort to throw out the case. The two rulings mean Joe Biden's son could be headed to trial next month in two criminal cases on opposite coasts
Ah.
in the midst of his father's reelection campaign.
Well,
Oh,
karma is a.
yeah. So
Biden
in
want to keep Trump in court, but now they're gonna be in court.
oh yeah, yeah. So in Delaware, Hunter Biden is accused of lying about his drug use in October 2018 on a forum to buy a gun that he kept for about 11 days. He has pleaded not guilty and acknowledged struggling with an addiction to crack cocaine during that period in 2018, but his lawyers have said he didn't break the law. Right.
Yeah, I think smoking crack is breaking the law, man. I was like, how did you get said crack? I presume illegal means there's no legal ways to get crack, man. Like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
my
but
goodness.
I don't know where they find these lawyers, man. It's like, seriously? You're going to sit there and say he was caught with a gun illegally, he was a crackhead, but he didn't break any laws.
I want a lawyer like that. It's just amazing. Just the
Yeah.
shamelessness of it all.
Well, I want to fast forward a little bit, and I was thinking just kind of in my own head, I was wondering, how do you think the mainstream media is going to treat Hunter Biden's legal troubles compared to President Trump's legal troubles?
Well, as they say, sex sells, but drugs are just sad. So, I mean, they probably want to run with the porn star as above to the, pathetic son of the president. I mean, let's be honest. We haven't really made a clear statement. What Hunter Biden has done in his life is pathetic. It's pathetic. You have all the opportunity in the world. Your father is the president. You have so much power and influence, and you're doing crack and hookers and blow. What is your life, man? He should be ashamed. And you know what they say is the best way to tell a man's character is to look at his family. A father to his son is the best way to tell a man's character. What does it say about the president of the United States, Joe Biden, that this is his son? He never said, you know what, sport, let's sit down and let's talk about this. Not even that. They're so wrapped up in what can only be described as a sitcom family. Not even that, because a sitcom is okay for TV. We know about the diary. We know about that. We know about everything. What has these people been through that has made them into drug addicts and et cetera, et cetera? Is Joe Biden, what is Joe Biden to his family? These are questions that should have been in the last election. Now, justice is making sure that these questions are going to be in the 2024 election, and they should have always been. So I'm glad we're asking these questions, but I'm wondering what the answers are. That's real scary.
Let's take a quick look at this ruling of what happened with it. I think that's the wrong one.
As the Ninth Circuit one with the guns, yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Hunter Biden, crack addict, allowed to have guns, but felons couldn't before that. See, now what's he worried about? He should just admit to it.
Yeah. Well,
Save us all the trouble and money.
this. I mean, I don't understand how any American with any common sense can sit there and watch this stuff go on and then defend this guy and attack President Trump while defending these real criminals and and thinking that he's the best president since sliced bread. I mean, it's it's just beyond the pale. I'm to the point where I can't even talk to some of these people anymore when they.
Well, but the good silver lining in this is that it is waking people up. That we've had to push so far into the ridiculous, uncanny valley that people are finally saying, you know what, this isn't for me. This stupidity, this insanity, it's not for me. That's why so many people are leaving the Democrat Party because of what they have to defend, what they have to actually pull the lever for at the end of the day. And we know from the Democrat primary that these people aren't being given a choice by their party. We in the Republican Party had a rigorous debate about whether it was going to be Trump or someone else, and Trump came out ahead, and his opponents have completely fallen ahead. We're not even hearing about Nikki Haley anymore. Trump clinched it from his own efforts, whereas Joe Biden has to have an entire party look after him and shepherd him around and protect him. That's not a leader, and that's certainly not a leader who could stand up to China and Russia and all these other countries, because these countries know what kind of clown he is behind the scenes. I mean, you're just never going to be able to trust a man like that. And if you can't trust a man, you certainly aren't going to be able to make deals with him. That's what
So,
we had in President Trump, is someone who could actually work with other countries because they knew that his family was solid and is solid. And they are.
and speaking of crooks and corruption,
Oh, no, we've got
uh,
more of them.
uh, Attorney General Merrick
Ah,
Garland is facing two contempt of Congress charges. Both Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan and Oversight Chairman James Comer have sent subpoenas to Attorney General Garland for the audio recording of former special counsel Robert Hur's interview with Joe Biden. They argue that since Garland has ignored both subpoenas, both committees intend to pursue contempt charges against him. Now, think for a second. What happened to Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon? If I'm not mistaken, they're both currently in jail for the same exact violation. Let's see what we can find here on this particular case.
Potential terrorists and others who mean to undermine our institutions. And additionally, it's well established that most of the illicit fentanyl in this country was flooded across the southern border by Mexican cartels. I hope to hear how the department plans to disrupt and dismantle these cartels and their distribution networks. Second, events in the Middle East, including Hamas's vicious attack.
Okay, that was the wrong. Here's the one about.
they're always putting ads and clips in these days, You notice the mainstream media has become a lot less transparent.
Yeah.
I love when they
So
put Twitter quotes in here, too. It shows citizen journalism is where it's at. Please, please.
anyway, one of the social media commentators um, opined, "Lock him up. Why does Garland get to walk free when both Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, who were charged with the same violations, sit in jail?" Um, so this attorney general is the same guy who was calling parents who were fighting for their parental rights at school board meetings domestic terrorists. And he was sending FBI to talk to some of these parents about their activities at school board meetings. Okay? This guy is a little dictator. He's a Biden puppet. He does whatever Biden tells him to do. He claims that the DOJ is independent of the executive branch, which is a lie. And everything that he does is because he's been instructed to do it. And one thing that I can say with total certainty, and that we can all be grateful for, is that this fool, Merrick Garland, is not sitting on the Supreme Court thanks to Mitch
Yes.
McConnell, who successfully blocked his nomination during President Trump's final year in office.
Absolutely. Whatever you can think of Mitch McConnell, he gave us that. And that we can see now was worth a
And
lifetime.
it may be one of Mitch's greatest accomplishments in the
Yeah.
Senate. It may go and in history. I think this one is going to go down in history because
Well,
just
especially what happens with Merrick, like if something greater happens, because I mean, really ignoring 2 subpoenas from Congress. I mean, that literally is your contempt of Congress. You could give a rat's of what they want from you, say to you, whatever. And that's what Joe Biden acted like with his documents and his Corvette and all this. They hold themselves to one standard, which is very low, and every single one of us, including the former president, to a standard that we're still achieving, but yet they want to bring the bar down against us using lies. That's unacceptable. It's going to be unacceptable to Congress too.
and here's another comment from one of the social media places. It says a person also stated after an intense review, Garland has decided not to prosecute himself for his criminal acts.
We've
One minute,
investigated ourselves and found we did nothing wrong.
yep. I think that person should have been in jail a long, long time ago. Isn't that great? You get to say, "Hey, I'm not prosecuting myself." So they argued there. Here's what the DOJ, I say DOJ, Garland and his henchmen, they argued that if witnesses were aware that the audio, and this is what the argument's over, it's over the audio portion of Biden's testimony with Special Prosecutor Robert Hur. Uh, they want they subpoenaed all of the recordings, the text, the audio recordings, and and the interview with Biden's ghostwriter, uh, whom has been said to have been privy to classified information directly from Joe Biden. So they've stated they also want and require the audio from her interview. So the DOJ claims that it had already been extraordinarily flexible in providing the Biden transcript in a letter sent in April to the chairman of the GOP committees. They argued that if witnesses were aware that the audio might be made public, prosecutors could encounter greater difficulty in obtaining recorded interviews in the future if the audio was also disclosed.
So if we disclose the audio, that will make it harder to disclose audio in the future. Okay, that sounds like it's
Now,
been pulled out of
they're
something.
saying that they won't be able to get people to testify or agree to testify under oath on an audio or
Well,
video.
that's even worse. It's like, oh, well, if we get caught, other people will not want to get caught more. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no kidding.
Exactly. Yeah,
This criminals protecting criminals. That's all we got here.
it's amazing. I mean, I, I don't know what to opine anymore, man. It's like every day something new comes up with these people. It's like they live in their own little bubble, and and nobody's gonna hold them accountable.
See,
And
see,
still,
Hugo, this is why it's good that we have the boomer and the millennial, because you, as the boomer, you remember when people had a head on their shoulders. You remember when sanity was a little bit around. Me and our generation, we never seen it once. We were born into this circus, and we're hoping we won't die in this circus. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
we have never seen sanity from our government, and we've never seen sanity from the general public that's manipulated by these forces. So, man, it's like if you ever got something to say, I got a lot to say because this is all I've seen my entire life.
it's
All of
just
you millennials out there, you know what I'm talking about.
absolutely, and we're counting on you millennials to fix this mess.
We can
That-
do it.
So
It can only
that's
get more our fault. That's what I tell people. We got to fix it because it'll only be more our fault the older we get.
that's all I got about that crooked DOJ attorney general. What a joke!
Hold him in contempt, drag him over to Congress, force him
Yeah,
to give us the
I,
evidence.
I
That's
want
what
to see him perp walked with handcuffs on.
If that's what's got to be, that's what's got to be.
All
You had your
right,
chance.
enough of these fools. maybe here's a little bit of good news here for us here in Colorado. In in a bizarre turn of events, and you're not going to believe this one, Governor Polis has signed bills to reduce sales income tax rates in Colorado. I am literally in a state of shock. I don't know what to think, but the cynic in me says there's something beneath the surface on this decision. But let's see what he signed in. He says Coloradans can expect to save more money with the new tax rate reduction from 4.4% to 4.25%. So he's lowering it a whopping 0.15%. Uh, I guess don't look a gift horse in the mouth is what I always say. So
Right.
SB 24-228 and 233 will not only reduce the income tax rate, but also cut the sales tax and property tax. One has to wonder, though, what his motivations were.
Well, if
Let's
you want, go ahead.
let's
Go ahead.
let's peel back the banana a little bit. No pun intended. Uh, is he positioning himself for a run at the presidency?
Maybe he said I did bipartisan things. I did this good. I did that good. But
Oh,
Hugo,
there's nothing more conservative than saying
I
I
lowered
cut
taxes.
taxes.
But Hugo, I want to give actually you and me, and also our audience, and all of our coworkers and compatriots out there, a little bit of credit because this really proves that Colorado is a purple state, that we Republicans matter. Because let me tell you something, in California and Illinois, they would never even think about doing this. There's not even a shred of it. I think part of this is electioneering to say, oh, look what I did nice on the election time. But they wouldn't even be doing this, and they wouldn't even care if it wasn't for Republicans. Republicans who they know will convert people, will bring them to the party, who will become stronger if they keep acting like crazy liberals. We
Mm-hmm.
even just being here. So, any Republican out there, never think that your efforts don't matter. The enemy sees you, and in this case, not even the enemy. These people are just opponents. They see us and they say, if we don't do at least a little bit of the best of what they want, then we're going to get run over electorally. So even just being where you are, working how you are changing government policy. You don't have to win elections. You don't have to be as successful as we know we can be and will be. We're changing things right now just by being here and having to be a thought in politicians' heads.
Yep. And you know, as bizarre as things are, um, it wouldn't shock me to see something happen where they remove Biden and put someone in like Polis or Newsom
Yeah,
in their campaign. I mean, it'll be too little, too late. But I saw an article today that from the New York Post. I think they're the conservative one in New York.
I
I
believe
can't
so.
remember if it's the Post or the Time, but at any rate, it's the headline was um, the election of 2024 is now officially Trump's to lose, and that's a huge statement coming from a newspaper because
Yeah.
that means that they're paying attention to the movement. Uh, where was it? The rally he did over the weekend.
I think in New Hampshire, New Jersey, or something like that. It was in New
One
England
hundred
somewhere.
thousand people.
Yeah.
Now you tell me Biden can't draw 100. Okay, uh, so we're supposed to believe that the people are not paying attention. I don't think so. And in a liberal state like New Jersey, of all places, I could see that in Texas or Florida or Tennessee, one of the really red
Right.
states. But a blue state like New Jersey, he drew 100,000 people.
Colors are changing. They're gonna have to be scared because colors are changing. People who are one thing are recognizing that they're another thing. It's happening with the Hispanic community, the black community, with the tradesmen and the working class. And the fact that Trump is leading it, that's gonna be a legacy in America forever.
Yep, I think it's going to be a great election season. I'm getting excited, but I don't
Yeah.
want to put the cart before the horse.
No, but we will be
Um,
with you through
we
all of it.
we know that there's going to be we know that there's going to be more mud slinging from the left. I mean, they're not going to quit. Uh, they're going to keep trying to find. In fact, I just saw an article also that a court in California is now looking um, at at charges coming to Trump from the IRS. Uh, so this could turn out to be
Yes, the
another
IRS, the most beloved American
yeah.
institution.
So I haven't gotten into the details of that, but I'll be looking into that. I just kind of caught a glimpse of that, and I said, "Oh my God, it just
Nobody
not."
can say Trump isn't an average American. He's got problems with the law. He's got problems with the tax code, just like all of us. Just like
Yeah,
every blood-blooded American working class person ever has.
but it goes to show that they're not going to stop.
No.
They're not going to stop until the people stop them, and so we need the American people to stand up and give in a loud voice that this is enough. We're not going to put up with it. This is America, and we're going to right the ship once and for all here.
Amen.
Because otherwise, we're talking about America going down the tubes very quickly.
Yeah.
This doesn't.
We can't have that. What did we all come here for if we're going to let this ship sink? We got to
Yeah.
save it.
So, in closing on the Polish thing, like I said, I never look a gift horse in the mouth. So we have to give credit where credit is due, but we'll be keeping an eye out to make sure this is real and it comes into fruition because he signed the bills, but I want to see the effects. And I didn't get into the details of it. I'm not sure when it takes effect either. So sometimes these things are pushed down the line where they don't even take effect for 1 or 2 years. So we'll see. But that's that was definitely interesting news when it came to Jared Polis of
Yeah.
all
Good news
people.
for Coloradans. More money in your and I pockets. That's what we
Yeah.
want.
So this other story that just popped up was about President Trump and some comments he made
Oh,
about Jewish voters. Did you see that?
I did. I did, in fact.
Um, the left is just going bonkers because he said, uh, what was exactly his? Let me see what his actual. He said that he suggested that Jewish Democrats need to have their head examined if they're going to vote for Democrats, and and of course immediately what happened is they jump and start launching
Hair on fire.
anti-Semitic.
Oh,
They're
gosh.
calling him anti-Semitic for saying this. Uh, so when Biden said, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black," that wasn't
Yeah, that was
racist.
fine. That was fine. But
Yeah,
this,
but this is just the end of the world.
you know,
Trump is anti-Semitic. Never mind that he has a daughter who converted to
yeah,
Judaism, married to a Jew. His grandson is a Jew.
he's from Queens. There,
He's
there's a non-sub-zero amount of Jews in New York, people. Like, New York literally is the most Jewish city in America. Almost every Jewish family that lives here in this country has come through either New York. There's a couple places in Texas and elsewhere, but New York is by far the largest. Like, if he's anti-Semitic, he couldn't do business there. I
yeah,
remember this article: anti-Semitic president defends Israel. Like, it's just, it's absurd. It's just like any other false slur that's out there right now. They're trying to paint him as. It's so ridiculous.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter what he says; they'll find.
Well, and I wanna mention the topic, the comment specifically. All he said was, "You need to get your head examined." Like, first of all, this is an old timey expression. Like, maybe some of my generation has never heard this, but this is a very common expression. It doesn't mean anything bad at all. And let's take it in a modern sense. What's wrong with getting your head examined? Are we having a problem with mental health now? Or what are we saying here? We have a problem with self-reflection. I guess we do. There is nothing wrong with having your head examined. There really isn't. And even Alan Dershowitz, known Jewish lawyer, even he said that. He goes, if someone examined my head, they'd find an open mind.
Hmm.
If you're getting offended at accusations from somebody else, lady doth protest too much. I mean, people have to understand that when your reaction to something somebody says a lot more about you than it does about them.
Well, for Alan Dershowitz to say that he's keeping his options open, he says he's never voted for Republican president before, but this election he's keeping his options open.
Yeah,
That's a huge thing.
it is.
And I mean, he has been, by his own admission, he has been talking about how, because he's been honest about all the things that have been going on against President Trump, that he's been disinvited from all these liberal places that he used to be a honored guest at.
How welcoming,
Yeah,
how
that
liberal.
oh, how inclusive. That's
That's the
that's
word.
that's the word. How inclusive. The left is the most uh, hypocritical group of people in this country or in the world.
No, I've
I
never
mean,
seen people lose friends over saying, "Hey, you know what? I've decided to be a liberal." It's like, okay, that's great. Just try not to complain about it too much around us. But you see a bunch of liberals, and one of them becomes a Republican. That person has lost all those friends.
oh
It's
my
it's
God.
absurd. It's absurd,
Yeah, with friends like that, who needs enemies, right?
right? Hey, like Jesus said, you gotta make enemies before you can love them. Well, Jesus said, "Love your enemies," but that's a good thing to remember. You gotta make enemies before you can love them.
Absolutely. Well,
But yeah,
the
no, this comment's ridiculous. I mean, the reaction to this comment's ridiculous. The comment itself is fine. He's saying, if you're Jewish, why are you not supporting Israel? And I understand there's a lot of people, especially in my generation, a lot of Jewish people who are secular Jews. They are very American. Some of them, they're left wing, but they're still very pro America. They don't see Israel as connected to them, but it is the only Jewish state on the planet. It is the Jewish state in the historic Jewish homeland. So, if you have no connection to it, then, that is, it's not strange. It's definitely a part of America. But it would be like, many of us Hispanics who said, oh, I couldn't care what happens to, the country I came from. Well, it's something about where you came from. It'd be like saying, oh, I don't care what happens to the neighborhood that I grew up in. You have a history and you have a past. And not wanting to acknowledge your history and past is a huge problem that we have with the left, because history shows us where we are going based on where we've been. So if you're not connected at all to your roots, you don't have to be, rah rah Israel. You don't even have to like Israel, but to not care about it even at all, or to call it anti-Semitic, to suggest that there's a problem with not having a connection to it. I think this might be a bit strong, but I think that's mostly coping by secular liberal Jews who may not feel completely connected to their roots. And that's always going to leave someone insecure to not know where they come from. I'd suggest
absolutely.
go and learn. Go and learn where you come from. You don't have to even be Jewish. Be whatever. You might find some Jewish roots. There's a lot of Hispanics with Jewish roots. There's a lot of black people with Jewish roots. There's roots all over the place, not just to Israel, but to all over the world. So connect to them, because it'll make you a better person. But to say, oh, you must hate me for suggesting I should be part of my roots, couldn't be further from the truth. Trump isn't hating Jews by these comments. He's inviting them to see what he sees. He's been to Israel. He's been to the Wailing Wall. He's been to it all. And he's got family, like I said, like you said, his daughter who's Jewish. I mean, if he
Huh.
sees it, maybe there's something for you to see.
He converted. She
Yeah,
converted because she married.
Jared
Her husband is
Kushner.
Jewish, and and so they're bringing up his grandson
Uh,
as a Jew.
it's very important. You know what I mean? There's other Jewish leaders out there, like Vladimir Zelensky. His wife is Christian. They're bringing their Christian. There's another Jewish leader, I forget, in South America somewhere. Javier Milei. He's Jewish, but his wife, from what I understand, is not Jewish. So, in the Jewish tradition, if anyone doesn't know, if your mother is Jewish, then there's no question in any Jewish circles that you are Jewish.
Yeah.
If the mother's not Jewish, then there is some question among some circles. So for a woman to convert for that reason shows a deep devotion not only to the religion but to her husband. So if that's where the apple falls, I don't think the tree is too far away. I think Trump respects everyone. He's
Of
shown
course he
it.
does. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I was already this guy on social media was jumping on me. He said Trump hates Latinos, right? I said, yeah,
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
I said I said you're brainwashed. That's all I can say. I mean, you need to stop listening to Rachel Madcow and uh, and all these other liberal talking heads like Morning Joe Blow and all these other guys.
He's a man who's loved by the Border Patrol. Does anyone not know that the Border Patrol is like 70 or 80% Hispanic or something like this? Maybe I'm going a little bit heavy on the numbers, but
Yeah,
it's a sizable part, if not the majority of the Border Patrol, because they're mostly recruited from the border areas, and that's shocking Hispanic majorities.
yeah.
So it's like,
Well, the director of the Border Patrol is Hispanic, uh,
right.
and and if I'm not mistaken, I think Trump appointed him.
He did, and we
Um,
saw from the last show, we had Cesar Chavez's shout out from the video that we presented, that the progressive hero of Hispanic labor was pro border control, was
mhm.
pro strong border, because we recognize that the border, and I'm gonna say this very clear, the border is not a racial or ethnic issue. There's
Yep.
all races of people that come across that border, and especially all the races come across illegally. All
Yep.
races are criminals across the border.
Yep.
The only money that matters in this criminal world at the border, it's green.
Yeah. You're a greenie.
Well, and soon,
Bef-
hopefully, they'll be orangish behind
Yeah.
bars.
Before I forget, news of the day was a flash that
Oh,
Biden has agreed to debate Trump. But
oh,
but did you see the conditions that they're placing?
oh my goodness! They're not.
Biden doesn't want an audience. He wants to do it in a studio, in a television studio, and they want mute buttons installed so that
Oh my
they
goodness!
can cut Trump off whenever they feel like it. Uh, so it's going to be interesting to see. This
Man,
just out, so I don't have all the details yet, but just heard some of the little tidbit about what he's deciding to do. And this is before the conventions, which is unusual.
that
Typically,
is rather unusual.
they don't have debates before the conventions, but it's going to be interesting to see if that comes to pass or if Trump even accepts that because
Yeah, it's kind
that
of Joe Biden going, "Hello, Daniel. Would you come into my lion's den?" Like,
yeah,
okay,
I don't. If I were Trump, I'd tell him to go pound sand. I
yeah, I'd
said
say take off the mute button at the
let's
very
let
minimum.
let's have a debate in the middle of Texas Stadium. Let's do that. Come on, Joe, you can do it.
Have it in the middle of Texas Roadhouse, man. What are you afraid of? The people?
Yeah.
He only needed an army corps to protect him during his inauguration, so let's see how he does.
Well, that's a story we're gonna
Be
be
following.
watching and seeing what transpires out of that. But it's gonna be interesting. We got um, just before I forget, we have Memorial Day coming up,
Yep,
so we'll have to see about doing a special Memorial Day show,
absolutely. We love
um,
our veterans.
and you know we'll be following up on some additional work, and I'm working on bringing in the president of the Hispanic Chamber, and as well as a couple of other candidates. Um, are you going to the debate tomorrow?
I should be, unless something catastrophic happens. Yeah, you want to
Okay.
mention that? You want to shout out that debate real quick?
Yes, absolutely. You got the Jeff Crank and Dave Williams debate for Congressional District 5 tomorrow in Colorado Springs. Look it up on the El Paso GOP Lincoln Club, um, the El Paso County Young Republicans. It's on their website. Um, and I've been chatting with the El Paso County Young Republicans, and I may have maybe planted a seed to maybe live stream it. So
Yep.
if they live stream it, I'll be watching. If not, you can send me some reports from the site and let me know how it went.
We'll be doing. Now we're gonna be moving into a lot of stuff, people. We're gonna be doing shorts. We're gonna be doing new content. We're gonna be doing live events. Please keep supporting the channel. Please like, comment, subscribe. Help us grow. Share with your friends. Doesn't have to be Hispanic, but everybody. Let them know what we're doing and what we're bringing to the people, because we bring the truth and nothing but the truth.
Absolutely. All right, so we're out of time for tonight. We want to thank everyone who tuned in tonight.
Yes, thank you
As
very much.
always, check out our website at thehispanicpatriot.com. We've got our YouTube channel, X, and today we added Spotify to our platforms. So
Indeed.
we're going to be on Spotify and Facebook, of course. So get to know us, get involved, send us your ideas and your comments, and we hope uh, to serve your needs and get those topics covered that you want. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. God bless you. God bless America.
Yes.
And go Trump.
Yes. God bless you all. Thank you so much.